Martí was to hear about that. Can you imagine that? I think it's just that they're embarrassed to be a part of what they see as just a simply poor third world country. And, you know, it's not cool to be from a poor country. You know, it's like, oh no, I'm American now. And the reason to that phenomenon is that they don't know, and I'm not just talking about kids here, there are adults who suffer from this phenomenon. Problem is that they just don't seem to know or remember about the great past that Cuba has. I mean, we're not just some little stray island there lost in the Caribbean. We're Cuba. We are its people. We are a proud people who have a history like no other. A history that I'm just bursting out with all of this pride that I feel is my land, and I want to recapture that land. I'm not saying it's lost, but it's a little been covered by Marabu, you know? So, for instance, let's talk about reasons to be proud of being Cuban. How about music? There's bachata. Have you heard of bachata? It's Cuban. Let's see. Danzón. It's also Cuban. How about mambo? You bet, it's Cuban. And how about son? Do you know what son is? Son is a song, a type of music that actually has been throughout all these years been kind of under attack because people, I'm not gonna say who, because I don't want to I don't want to be accused of being part of a conspiracy theory or anything like that. But salsa does not exist, you know. Salsa is one of those things that people invent to try to hide something else. Son, there isn't a son cubano. There's only son, and it's Cuban, all right. Like, we can't wait to the world, the countries, you know, famous people come to Cuba to give us recognition. We have to pride ourselves because nobody's gonna come and say and applaud us. Gee, you're such a great country. I love you guys. And then, yes, no, we need to value ourselves because nobody is gonna come and do that for us. And right, that was just an argument of reasoning about music. All right, on a more serious matter, how about the first library? First public library. Yes, they say that it's in 1793 in Havana. No, there's even an earlier one. An earlier one in Camagüey, which was formerly known as Puerto Príncipe. And I have the documentation. Well, I don't have it, but it's in Camagüey. If you're more than curious to know, passing car. If you're curious to know where the documentation is, it's actually in Camagüey. You can travel to go visit. It's available to the public, and I'm not just talking about Cuba's first public library. I'm talking about the first public library in the entire Western Hemisphere. Yes, it wasn't America, it was Cuba. You bet it was Cuba. And I am incredibly proud of that because it just shows that we're a learned people. You know, we value ourselves. We like to be Cuban. And let's see, got our library. There are just so many reasons to be proud of being Cuban that I want to ask people like my age and older, now that we're seeing changes in Cuba, do you want to take a part of that? Like, are you, because we're all getting older. We're all going to be inevitably in our 50s, in our 60s. We're going to have grandkids, hopefully, and we'll sit back. Inevitably, we're all going to get older. We're all going to reach our 50s, 60s, 70s. We'll have grandkids, hopefully. And what are we going to say that, like, what about history? Like, you know, when you look at past historic events that, like the French Revolution and stuff like that, sometimes I think, gee, I would have loved to be a part of that, you know, could help somehow. Well, actually, we're living a historic moment right now. Cuba is opening up, changes are going on, and there's a demand for people who are willing to help, people who actually love their country and want to give it their all. And I'm not just saying something like go fight for you. I'm not talking about violent stuff. This isn't an ad for the U.S. Army or anything like that. This is just help, just giving it stuff that you are capable of doing. And like, there isn't going to be a starting gun. There isn't going to be a time there somebody comes up to you and say, hey, do you want to help Cuba? No, that's not going to happen. You have to do it on your own. You have to say, gee, I want to help. I want to do something for my country. And we need a bit more of that 19th century passion, that ideal way of thinking, that sentimental, really high. That's just the problem with today. I mean, people, I'm not gonna sound simplistic, but people just care about one thing, and that's this. That's money. Nobody's gonna ask you to help your country and you expect a paycheck. It doesn't work like that. That's not being patriotic. That's being very economical, you know? So if you're young, or you're a father, a businessman, or just a simple farmer, anybody, you know, just any common person on the street, any citizen that is Cuban and wants to help should do it now, because this is a historic moment and it's not gonna come again. So in 50 years, let's see who made a difference.